Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're jumping into a truly timeless story about two very different kings, the choices they make, and a really profound lesson on leadership. It's a tale that asks a question that's as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. Who do we choose to follow, and what's the real cost of that choice?
And this right here, this is really the heart of the whole story. It's asking us something deep. Is it better to face death with a wise and compassionate leader, or to live a long, maybe even comfortable life, but under someone who's cruel and foolish? It's a heavy question, for sure, but it's one we face all the time in the company we keep and the leaders we trust.
Okay, so where does our story begin? Well, it actually starts not in some distant mythical past, but right in the time of the Buddha himself. And it centers on a woman from a wealthy family who finds herself in a situation that feels absolutely impossible. All she wanted was to become a nun, but her journey, well, it was anything but simple.
So from a young age, she begged her parents, please let me join the order, but they always refused. So she got married thinking, maybe one day her husband would understand her heart's desire. And you know what? He did. He saw her incredible wisdom and finally gave her his blessing. She was ordained. Her dream came true. But then, a crisis. It's discovered that she's pregnant, something she didn't even know herself when she took her vows.
Now, she joined an order that was led by Devadatta, who was a kind of rival to the Buddha. And his reaction to this news was just swift and cruel. He was worried about a scandal, so he ordered her to be thrown out. No investigation, no compassion, just gone. But the nun knew she was innocent, so she appealed directly to the Buddha. And his approach? It was the complete opposite. He called for a huge assembly to make sure the truth was brought to light fairly and wisely.
So there, in front of the king and the whole community, a highly respected laywoman named Visakha leads the investigation. And by carefully calculating the dates, she proves without a doubt that the child was conceived before the woman became a nun. She was totally innocent. Her name was cleared, and she later gave birth to a beautiful baby boy who would grow up to become the great and revered monk Kumaraka Sapa.
You can just imagine the monks, right? They're all talking amongst themselves, saying, wow, did you see that? The Buddha is so full of compassion, but Devadatta, he's just so cruel. The Buddha overheard them talking and explained that this wasn't the first time this had happened, that he had been a protector for these very same people in another life. And to help them understand, he told them a story from a long, long time ago.
And this is where we dive into the heart of it all. The Buddha takes them way, way back in time, to the kingdom of Varanasi. In this kingdom, the king, Brahmadatta, he had this obsession with hunting. He loved it so much that his daily hunts were messing up life for the entire kingdom.
So the townspeople, they got together and came up with a pretty clever solution. They built this huge, gorgeous park. Then they rounded up 2 whole herds of deer. We're talking 1,000 deer, and trapped them inside. They went to the king and said, look, now you can have 1 deer a day for your kitchen, and you don't have to bother anybody. The king was ecstatic, and when he saw the 2 stunning, golden-skinned deer who were the leaders of the herds, he granted them both personal immunity from the hunt.
But here's the thing. These 2 leaders, these 2 kings, they were polar opposites. First, you had Nigroda. He was wise, compassionate, a true leader who cared deeply for his herd. And then there was Sakka. He was selfish, merciless, and really only cared about himself.
To end the sheer terror of being hunted down every single day, the wise Nigroda proposed a plan. It was a grim plan, but it was orderly. Each day, 1 deer would voluntarily walk to the execution block. The turn would alternate between the 2 herds. It was a pact with death, yeah, but it saved everyone else from living in constant fear.
So one day the lot falls on a pregnant doe from Sakka's herd. She goes to her king and she pleads with him, my lord, I'm carrying a child. If I go, 2 of us will die. Please just let my turn pass until my baby is born. And Sakka's response? It's just brutal. Stone cold. Impossible, he tells her. I can't put your turn on someone else. It's your turn. Go. He showed 0 mercy. Not for her, not for her unborn child. Absolutely desperate, the doe runs over to the other herd to find the wise king Nigroda. But let's be real, who would possibly be willing to take someone else's death sentence, especially for a deer that wasn't even from their own herd?
And this, right here, is where you see what a true leader is made of. When King Nigroda heard her story, he didn't even hesitate.
He just comforted her, told her to go back to her herd in peace, and then he made the most incredible decision. He would go in her place. So when the royal cook showed up, he couldn't believe his eyes. There was the Golden King, the one with immunity, laying his own head on the execution block. The human king was called immediately. He rushes over and asks, "Great king, why are you here?" And Nigrata's answer is just profound. He says he simply cannot put the burden of one's death onto another, so he took her death upon himself.
You can just imagine the human king's mind being blown. He declared, "I have never seen compassion like this, not even among humans." He was so moved by this unbelievable act of self-sacrifice that he stood up and pardoned them both on the spot. "Rise, great king," he said. "I grant you and the pregnant doe your lives."
But Nigrota, he's not done. He sees this opening, this moment of pure compassion, and he pushes for more. "What about the other deer in the park?" he asks. The king says they are safe. "And what about all the other four-legged creatures in your entire kingdom?" The king agrees. "And the birds in the sky? The fish in the water?" With every question, the human king's heart opens wider until he has granted safety to every single living creature in his realm. And it wasn't just about saving lives, you see. Nigrota's wisdom went even further. He actually stayed for a few days and taught the king the 5 precepts, the basic principles for how to rule his kingdom with real justice and compassion for everyone.
So after telling this incredible story, the Buddha turns back to his monks, who are just completely captivated. And now it's time to connect all the pieces between this ancient tale and the ordeal of the nun they had all just witnessed. And this is the big reveal. The Buddha lays it all out for them. That selfish, foolish deer king, Saka, that was Devadatta. The pregnant doe he abandoned, that was the very same nun they had just saved. Her little fawn was reborn as the great monk Kumarakasapa. The human king who learned compassion, he became the Buddha's loyal attendant, Ananda. And the wise, compassionate deer king, Nigrata, that was a past life of the Buddha himself.
So what's the big lesson here for all of us? What's the ultimate takeaway? This story shows us that our choices, our acts of compassion, and our acts of cruelty, they don't just disappear. They echo through time. It all comes back to that first question, doesn't it? Following a wise leader brings salvation and safety for everyone. But following a selfish one? Well, that only leads to ruin. It's a powerful reminder that choosing our leaders, our friends, our company wisely, it's not just important, it's more valuable than life itself. Thank you for spending this time with us. The lesson of the 2 kings is just a beautiful reminder that one person's compassion can literally change the world. It's a call for us to look at the leaders in our own lives and, maybe more importantly, to lead ourselves with that same kind of wisdom. As you think about that, may you all be happy.